So this video is short and straight to the point. I'm about to go to church, so I'm just making this video because something just came to my mind about my plans for the future and the possibilities of ministry and the possibilities of doing something else if I don't do ministry in the way that I decide to do, because the way I have decided to do ministry in the future is to be a pastor. However, as a Reformed Christian, as a Augustinian or Calvinist who takes the Bible seriously, there are some qualifications that you find in 1 Timothy chapter 3 and Titus chapter 1 that you must have in order for you to be a pastor, in order for you to be an elder, fellow elder in a Reformed church. You have to have these qualifications before you become an elder or a pastor. And if you are an elder or a pastor and you lose one of these qualifications, you have to step down. The situation with me is I am not going to be a pastor or an elder without the qualifications. And if I lose one of those qualifications while I am in the position of pastor or elder, I'm going to step down. And this comes to my mind even this morning when I woke up and I was doing some reading, and as well I was on YouTube watching some videos that can benefit me spiritually. And I started thinking, with my struggles as a young man, with my struggles that I know I'll have in the future. And please listen to the distinction. When a Christian says he or she has a struggle, it means that they are defining what they are fighting against. They are defining the sin in their life that they have to take a lot of effort to fight. The sin in their life that they have to take a lot of effort to resist. There are some people who are Christians who, if they saw you put your wallet on a table, they would struggle not to steal it. And they don't steal it. They don't sin by stealing your wallet. They don't do it. But what they had to do to resist was hard. The fight that they had to go through to resist stealing your wallet was hard. Excuse me. That's the struggle. That's the struggle. And all of us have struggles. And there are some Christians who you could leave a brick of money on your table. They will pick it up and they will call you and give it all back to you. Because and that's not even hard. That was not even a flinch. They didn't even flinch to struggle or flinch in struggling. They did not struggle at all to give you back that brick of money they found on a table that you left. Us Christians, every single one of us, have different struggles. Some of us have the same struggles. There are things that we have to take a lot of effort in fighting in order for us not to give in. My struggles, and I can share this online because I'm not going to say I'm not ashamed of it. I am ashamed of it. What I am going to say is that I'm not afraid to share it because I know that there are Christians out there, specifically young men, who go through the same thing. I struggle with sexual sin. And please hear me out. And I'll say again, because when you tell someone that you're struggling with something, they automatically assume that you're doing it. They automatically assume that you're sinning. I am struggling with sexual sin. What do I mean by that? It means that when I resist sexual sin, I put out a lot of effort than if I were to resist stealing someone's wallet. Because to resist stealing is so easy. It's nothing. But the effort I have to put in to resist sexual sin is extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult. And I believe partly it is because that was what I was enslaved to when I was living in sin. And as a young Christian who has been redeemed by God, having unredeemed flesh that carries in it the remnants, that carries in it the sinful nature, the sinful desire for those things that I used to do when I was living in sin, when I was dead in sin, when I was in the world. And even when I became a Christian and I fell into sin, it was always the sin of sexual immorality. And that is one of my struggles. If I go into the ministry, if I become a pastor, and during my struggle with sexual sin, I fall into adultery, have to step down. I have to step down. Because then I would be breaking the qualification or losing the qualification of being a one-woman man. And adultery doesn't just happen in most cases. It is a process. It is when you take small steps of doing wrong things that eventually lead up to adultery. So you're already not a one-woman man in your process in getting to the point of actually committing adultery. You've been committing adultery in your mind way before you actually committed adultery in your body. That's one struggle I have. The other struggle is this. I have arrogance. I'm supposed to be humble. I have impatience and roughness when I'm supposed to be gentle and patient. These are just some of the things I have. It is in my personality. When I correct people, there's a little bit of arrogance. When I respond to people who are in opposition to that which I believe or the convictions that I have, I tend to be very rough. I tend to be very impatient. And these are not things that you can bring into the ministry as a pastor. I want to be a pastor, but I'm not going to be a pastor for at least until the next 5 years. So I have time. I don't think I'm going to be a pastor until I'm at least 31 years old. That's 4 years from now. So I believe that I will be sanctified enough by the power and sovereignty of God before I go into the ministry as a pastor by that time. However, if I'm not sanctified enough by the power and sovereignty of God, I am going to do something else with my degree. If it's evangelism, if it's being a college professor, if it's being a high school professor who teaches religious education, something else other than being a pastor, because being a pastor is more serious than being a medical doctor, because you're operating on souls, man. You can't take these things lightly. So, for those of you out there who are struggling with what I'm struggling with, pray, fight, especially if it's sexual sin, because that is, in the Old Testament, sexual sin was punishable by death. In the New Testament, the Bible describes it as the one sin that you commit against your body. It is singled out as the sin that you are to flee from. The Bible never says that you are to fight it or try to go toe to toe with it. You are to run. Sexual sin is serious. So, I hope that this video helps someone. And for those of you who are following me, I hope that uh, it was okay for me to share with you something about me, my goals, and my convictions and my boundaries. Because there's nothing wrong in saying, I'm struggling, man. I'm struggling as a Christian. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying that you have to put out a lot of effort resisting certain sins than you do with other sins. There's nothing wrong with that. Because all of us have a sin in our life that so easily entangles us. Every single one of us. If we give it an inch, it will take a mile. And we have to remember what that sin is and take very, very serious effort. Very, very serious um, very, very serious efforts. I'm not going to say any other word to that. To fight it. To fight it. Because if we don't, we are going to fall. That's the Christian life, man. It's a constant fight. It's a constant battle. It's a constant life of resisting, dying, dying. Die every day. So I hope that this video helped some of you out there. I hope you like my mic. I'm going to be using this mic to do some individual interviews with people who are not Christians and people who are Christians who need to be informed. I'm going to be asking worldview questions and then sneak the gospel in with this interview, with these interviews that I'm going to be doing in the near future. Thank you all for listening. God bless you all, and share so that, someone out there can understand that struggling with something is not sinning. It is just struggling with something in order for you to not sin. So, God bless you all. I think I'm done here. Yeah. Have a good day. I'm going to go off to church now, because that's one of the things you got to do when you are fighting this battle. You have to keep your mind on God. You have to keep your mind on God. Keep your mind on Him. Don't let your mind go astray, because that's where it all starts. That's where it all begins, the mind. God bless you all.